Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and hopefully it's a brand new, wonderful day for you. I mean, if it's not a brand new day for you, then I'm sorry that your time sense has stopped and maybe nothing is moving in your world. You probably wouldn't be watching this if that was true. But still, thumbs up. Welcome to the day. Hopefully it's a good one for you. I don't have a ton of things on my topics list. I didn't do a whole lot yesterday because I had an appointment. And I don't like interruptions in routine. And while it may not be a physical, but like, oh, I hate it, but it throws things off. I get nervous and anxious beforehand, and then afterward, I've got to deal with trying to pick up from where everything fell apart. And when I say fell apart, it's just, about 10 o'clock we left, and it was noon when we got back. 2.5 hours, not bad. We had to drive from Shelton, Washington, where I live, 20 miles to the capital, Olympia, and then really, really close to the outer edges of it, close to where the highway even enters the city, is where my appointment was. So it took like less than even a half hour to get there. And then my appointment was mostly waiting, of course. But then I talked to the doctor, young fellow, and it was good. He looked over my chart. We talked about my history. We talked about stuff. Oh boy, I gave the doctor quite a workout last time. I've mentioned before they took out 20 polyps, and there were some huge ones that they took out of my intestinal tract. So, yay. But it's been 3 years. So hopefully there's not a lot to take out. Hopefully I'm clear and clean and doing good, because boy, I really don't want to leave this mortal coil through some form of intestinal cancer. After all, if I hadn't had a colonoscopy like 2004-ish, I'd be dead already. Because they found 3 precancerous polyps at that point, where if I hadn't gotten them taken care of, they would have become cancerous polyps, and then I would have been riddled with cancers and then died. And that would have been bad. And I don't want that to happen anytime soon. We have what is known as the long defeat. Life is just the long defeat. We are going to give up the fight in resource competition, which is all of life on this world. We're going to lose that fight, and all of our carefully hoarded resources will be released back to the world. The only thing you can do is struggle to push that final defeat off as long as possible. It is a long defeat. Life on this planet is a long defeat. It's going to eventually end. Even if we don't wipe out the planet with climate change and pollution and all that, we wouldn't wipe out the planet. Planet's going to survive. It's fine. Life on the planet may not be here, but even if life persists, there's only 1 billion years, and then the sun will expand out so big that our planet will be inside of its actual body and will be baked. So, life is life. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything. And it's just the long defeat. Even life in the universe. Most of the universe out there right now is cold and dark. The brilliant lights we see out there in the sky, most of those are just ancient fossils. So, we've already lost the fight against entropy. But life is life. It happens. Past that, though, with my appointment, breaking up my time and messing up my schedule and all that sort of thing, I've grown very, very used to having the form and structure of video making to be a form and structure of my life. And so it's a shake-up when things happen. But past that, I survived. And then I did my editing and rendering and uploading. And that was good. I got everything done. So it was just a mental thing. But past that, when I got back, I just played some video games. I watched some videos. I did some thinking. I went on walkies. and thought about all sorts of stuff. A lot of the things I think about, I can't really push in a direction, because if I push something, then I lose the creative streak. It becomes work, and I don't think creatively about work. So I've got to keep things non-forced, or I'm not going to be able to do it. On the other hand, as I talked about, I think it was yesterday, where I decided I wanted to have a better reason for the deserts in the bone-hurting juice world, and I came up with a valid and perfectly good reason for that. So while I can push into areas, I can't really force it, because I was feeling creative and I wanted to make it work. I'm the kind of person where the foundation has to fit and work through the entire thing. I can't just pretend on some spots and then say I'll come back to it later, because if I can't make it work like that, it's just all going to collapse inside of my head like a house of cards, and then I can't do anything with it. So I got to make it all work. But a lot of the stuff I've been doing has just been thoughts about relationships between characters, because I really like the bone-hurting juice world a lot myself now, and things about what they're going to be doing. And I've mentioned before that what I like to do is play the character in my head like they're talking to somebody or talking to the writer, and just explaining things and talking about stuff, what they like, what they don't like, and how they would do things in a situation. Stuff that would likely never be used in a story, but it's there so that I know. And one of the things I've been going on, I do want to incorporate this into a story if I can. I mentioned part of this yesterday, where also I do a lot of these things as well. There's nicknames and personal names and friend names, and like Scarbat, that's his full name, of course. But if he's going to his friends, he's just Arbat. And Milliander just usually goes by Millie for short. And Ilchenka, whose the name really isn't that, answers to Chenka. But as I'd mentioned yesterday, her name isn't that. That's the way her accent pronounces it, as all of her species would pronounce their own home language anymore. So, and there's no living native speakers of the language. And while all of the new Calendrons, the skeletons that are animated by this magical plague, they think in this and they can speak in it, but instead of this beautiful language, it's this sort of thing. And so they tend not to speak in that, just because why hear the beautiful thing in your head mangled by what's coming out? But once Scarbat finds out about this, he's a smart individual. He's got little safe houses that banks and such would keep in larger places. And so he's got in some of the larger places around in civilization, he has little safe houses that he's got banks and investment stuff that pays for it. So if he ever happens to be there, he can just go digging through some of that stuff. Most of the stuff when he goes adventuring, he just donates to the church, but some of it he hangs on to. One of the things he hung on to in one of the books in one of the larger capitals that he manages to make a trip to and get is one of these ancient books from a university that is an introduction to the Calendran language, written before the magical plague. And now that he knows that Ilchenka's name is not Ilchenka, that's just the way their accent pronounces the name, he gets his old book, because he's pretty sure he's got it, and he goes digging and finds it. Takes a while, and he's got this book. So he locates someone out in the world who is a Calendran, new Calendran, and says, I want you to teach me how to say this. You can't say the things. I've got this book that tells me how to pronounce things. I'll pronounce it by the book. You tell me what to change. And that is sort of overwhelming at first for the person, because of course finding out that the name that no one can ever speak properly. Someone wants to say it properly, and of course, being said for one of their New Calendrian friends, it's they spend the time and they teach Scarbat things. And so, when he finally figures out how to do it, he spends his time now just absolutely horrified still that he spent 70 years calling her Ilchenka when it's more really pronounced Ulshenya. And so he starts just calling her Ulshenya. And for short, instead of Chenka, it's Shenya. So little things like that to show character. Just feeling bad, saying the wrong name for so long, but finally being able to do it right. And of course, her reaction is being caught. It's like, do you want to hear your name properly, knowing that after your living friend dies, no one's ever going to say it properly again? Or, as I figure she would probably end up telling him, that she wants him and only him to be able to pronounce it properly, to please for the rest of his natural life call her Ulshenya and Shenya, so that after he's gone, she will be able to remember that her name was said properly and that it was his voice and him that said it. And she'll be able to remember that as well. So yes, he gets to pronounce her name properly. Everybody else still just calls her Ilchenka, because after Scarbat's gone, it's only going to be Ilchenka. So, but hey, definitely a thumbs up on that. But still, it's fun working on the world and the adventures and the thoughts of what they do and what's happening. So definitely a thumbs up on that. It's good to be creative. It's good to think about creative things. Past that, I really don't have a ton of stuff. In fact, nothing at all. Aside from the fact that, of course, I do have therapy today, so I've got to try and get all of my stuff done before 9 o'clock. And then I've got to get some even just recording and such. I've still been doing work. I haven't done my main video, but I'm still doing work on the external stories of the Minecraft things. But that did remind me, because I've been doing this sort of isekai storyline things going on with Minecraft. One of the funny things, of course, about this whole Truck-kun and Truck-chan thing, because so many people get killed by trucks in these stories, I have for years been playing with the stupid idea, of course, that nowhere you go are you safe from the possibility of being killed by a bus, because you can always be hit by a bus, and it doesn't even matter how famous or non-famous you are. There was the artist Falco, German or Austrian. His career was really starting to take off, and he was hit and killed by a bus. And so I've been positing, of course, that you're never safe. Like if you're on the 14th floor of a skyscraper or tall building downtown, you might be looking out over the sunset and you hear off in the distance the sound of a bus horn. And then suddenly out of the darkness comes this bus with its headlights blaring, and it slams through the front window of the restaurant. People are injured, but you're the only one that gets killed. Or if you're on an aeroplane and it's just taken off and you're circling the city and suddenly you don't even get to hear it, but out of nowhere this bus, boom, into the side of the aircraft. They have to make an emergency landing, and only one person ends up dying, and that's you. So that's kind of bus-chan. You're never safe from a bus. I mean, you might be in a restaurant, and like if you're in London, you hear you're in the underground, and you hear that sound of a bus coming up from one of the tunnels. You know you're going to get hit by a bus. Doesn't matter if you hide in one of the stalls in a restroom, if they even have public restrooms anymore. I don't know. It's been 40 years since I've been to London. But even if you hid in a public restroom, there would still be that hurrah, and then wham into the stall you're hiding in. And maybe some people get injured, and everyone wonders how the bus got down there. And the driver can't tell you anything. It's, concussion and, amnesia after that. But you were the only one that got hit by the bus. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab, and I'm going to go through and thank however many people left comments up to 25. Been a long time since I've hit 25, but you never know. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I count American Sign Language on the fingers of this hand, my memory. Yay. We have Drumming Vulture, thumbs up and thank you. Jackson Pickens, thumbs up. We have I do not know how to pronounce J-O-A with a symbol over it. O, and then Vitor Martins, thumbs up and thank you. Then I really do not know the language, and I'm very sorry about that, but there's a thumbs up. Then there's Craig Ball, greatly appreciated. 05 Bradley Natan Kenaz Dolan Talide, thumbs up and thank you. We have Barbiana Lou, greatly appreciated. There is Gree N, GRE space EN, greatly appreciated. Prum, thumbs up and thank you. We have Ash Thomp, greatly appreciated. Flora Mew, always good to see you in the comments. TXP666, thumbs up. And Favel, greatly appreciated. Hopefully my wave file I sent to you was good. Alex T, thumbs up and thank you. And Ice Damon, greatly appreciated. And there we go. We had that many people who left me comments in the last 24 hours. Thumbs up. Thank you all. Greatly appreciated. Each and every one of you. You get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people. Thumbs up for that. While I've got my hands in the air, I do not know what device you're watching this video on, but somewhere there is a video description text file. Inside of that are links to all of my channels. There's also links to things like Twitter, Facebook, my Patreon. If you could become a patreon.com patron, like one of these beautiful and awesome people, that would be beautiful and awesome. These people keep a roof over my head, keep food in my belly, and keep my pets fed. Thank you so very, very much. It is appreciated to no end. If you'd like to help me out without sending money through the patronage, somewhere in that text file there is a link to my PayPal, and I also have a link to my Amazon wish list link. So hopefully I've got my wish list actually updated. I gotta get cat food on it still. Now, do not feel obligated. I do not feel entitled. And if you cannot donate or you simply do not donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them into the bank of my heart, where I draw interest. So thank you very much. And if you could toss me a like, I appreciate all the positive validation I get from my existence, a definite thumbs up. And of course, if you could hit the notification bell, wherever it happens to be, on that bloody subscription button, wherever it happens to be, that would be very cool. Thumbs up and thank you. Greatly appreciated to no end. Well, hokey smokes. Yeah, I've got to kind of hurry to get stuff done in time. And then, of course, I'm going to do some... I don't have to record. I could not. But I really like having form and structure in my otherwise formless and structureless life. So thumbs up on that. But for the rest of you out there in the world, it is a dangerous place with the Covfefe bug raging out of control. So please... try to stay away from large groups of people. If you have to go out, make sure to keep your social distancing, wear a mask, wash your hands often, try not to touch your face. Get vaxxed if you can, get a booster if it's available. So thumbs up. Until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is quite frankly a very good thing.